Hello?
Alan, can you hear me?
Oh,
Hi,
look at him with the green screen going there.
I'm outside town hall here, you know?
Yeah.
Where the heck is...
That's too much.
There we are.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Can you guys
That's
see me?
awesome.
What's
Yeah, we
up?
can see you.
Okay, hello.
What's up, Rick?
How you doing, Rick? How you doing, Val? Hi, Max. Hi, Mary Ellen.
Hello.
So board members and others that are on as panelists, there are, I don't know if you see them, but there's attendees and panelists. So we have 8 attendees right now and 7 panelists. And I think we're still waiting for
Councilman
Councilwoman
Scancarello and
Bingham.
Councilwoman Bingham.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Sal is having a hard time signing on right now for some reason.
Who, Val?
No,
Sal.
Sal.
Oh, Sal. I was going to say Val's on.
Yeah, he's getting something that says.
Let me make sure he's not in the other room, in the
Please,
attendees.
it says, please
Oh, wait,
enter
you know
your
what?
password.
Councilwoman Bingham logged into the wrong. I'm going to move her over. She logged into the wrong. She was in the public section, not the panelists.
Oh, okay.
So she's
Hey,
coming
Val.
in now.
Yes, hello.
I do not see Councilman Scancarello in the attendees, so.
Yeah, let me call him back and tell
I got him, Mike.
You got him?
Yeah.
Have you got me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Bingham, we hear you, but we don't see you.
Oh, maybe
Yeah,
that's
Mike.
a good thing.
You might have to activate your camera in the lower left.
I'm going to send you a message that'll ask you to start the video, so that should help you.
Okay, start my video. Clicked
There
it.
you go.
and there I am. Yes.
Ah!
Okay.
There you go.
Surprise.
All right,
Okay.
so we have 8 attendees and 8 panelists, and I think we are just waiting on,
Mr. Sancarello?
yes, Councilman Scancarello.
It was a little hard signing in this time.
Yeah, you were in the wrong, you used the public link instead of the one that was emailed as
Wow,
a
you getting
panelist,
mine?
so I
Yeah,
just,
well, I tried the panelists and I kept saying enter my email.
oh, it's probably your town email, the one that we sent it to, maybe?
Yeah, and then it wouldn't give me a place to put the password in.
Yeah, Brian, Sal, I think is having the same problem. It won't let his password activate.
I'm in the meeting. It says
There he is.
password, and then I enter the password 442373, and it won't take me in.
Yeah.
All right, so hang on a second, let me see if I can help him out. Oh, you
I mean, I got
can't.
linguine and clam sauce at 8:15. I mean, this is,
All right, so going to that meeting. Is he looking, I mean, assume he's getting the invite from the official email address?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to resend it to your email and maybe see if that works. I'm sending it to your Monroe, New York. I just resent it to your address.
Okay. Yeah, it's the same password 442373. I'll try it again.
You should be able to just click on the link, Sal.
Just
right?
click on the link.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
click on that link,
you
Sal.
shouldn't need a password. Just go to the link.
Just click on the.
I'm in.
All right, let me see if we see you.
Hold on.
Oh. Tony just went full screen. That was a little tough.
Well, good to see you
You're
laughing
in.
and smiling again, Mike. How you feel?
I feel fine. I feel fine. Yeah.
All right, I
Still
got
really
Sal.
nice.
Sal, you know why? Sal's in the public again. He's in the other link, but
He
I'm going
went
to move him
public on
over.
us, huh?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
All right.
All right, there he
So
goes.
Sal's coming in, and we should have everybody at this point.
Oh.
there he is.
Sal, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, I'm going to send a link to ask you to start your video, and I think
Okay.
then we'll have everybody. Nice.
All right.
So,
Oh my God.
The
All right,
good
I'm
part
good.
about that, Sal, is when you take it off, you don't mess up your hair.
No, I'm good with that.
That was something else.
Yep. Yep.
all right, so
That
let
was
me,
great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give a little overview for housekeeping. This is Brian Nugent, town attorney, hosting the meeting. We do have 5 call-in listeners that'll be in by phone that are attending, and then we have several other people that are logged in by computer. So this format is what's known as a webinar. What happens in a webinar format is basically the people that are panelists that we selected are available by video and audio, and you should be able to see them. Anybody else that's an attendee is basically visible to me and online, and we will allow each person to talk during public comment or in the public hearings when the time comes, and we'll go through, probably call you by your last 4 digits of your phone number, or if you have a name, we'll announce you by name. So in a moment, I'll turn it over to the town supervisor, but just wanted to let everybody know it's a little bit different format than we had prior to avoid the latest trend in Zoom bombing. So nobody can just come in and put themselves on video or do anything inappropriate. If you want to say something inappropriate, you'll have about a second before I mute you, and then you'll be done and removed. So supervisor, over to you.
Okay, want to roll the flag, and we'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Is that my job? Got to share the
Yeah.
flag? I think
Yeah,
I
gotta-
dropped
gotta
the
roll
ball on
flag.
that. Sorry, I don't have that ready, so.
Get the
I wanna
flag
say-
up. Come on.
All right, actually, I'm going to do it right now. Here we go.
Got it.
Roll the flag.
I'm rolling the flag in 1 second. All right. All right, let's go with this one. Here we go. Supervisor, you can start us off. There we go.
No music.
Okay, I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
States
of
of
America
America,
and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands,
and
one
one
nation,
nation,
Under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty,
liberty
justice for all.
for all.
If you can remain standing for a second, I just want to have a moment of silence for all those who have passed from the COVID-19 virus. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, coming back, and we should all be there.
Okay. One other thought, we've been on a lot of calls this week with the county exec. I was actually on a call with the governor's office a little earlier, as were some of the other municipal leaders. We're trying to work through some of the issues that we have. We have been asked to get on a call with the governor tomorrow, so I will be doing that with Blooming Grove's mayor and supervisor, along with Mayor Welly, Mayor Dwyer, and I believe the Woodbury mayor and supervisor. So I'll update you all a little more tomorrow through an email. But I just want to personally thank all the first responders out there, from the medical staff, those that clean the hospital, those that work in nursing homes, the nurses, the doctors, and anybody else associated with a hospital that's dealing with this. I'm not trying to minimize what happened, in the World War, but I liken everybody in those positions to those who stormed the beaches of Normandy, who had no clue what they were going into. And I really believe that it's a similar situation with everybody in the hospitals and the first responders. So with that said, I would need a motion to open up the town board meeting.
I'll
I'd
make
like
that
to make
motion.
that motion. All right. Sal, go ahead, make the motion.
I'll
I'll
make that motion.
All right, Mary Ellen and Val, I'm just gonna say names when they make motions. So Scangarello, second by Cologne.
Okay.
Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McKinnon,
Okay, so moved. So just an update regarding town operations. For the most part, all our town employees are working from home when possible, which is about, I want to say, I think 82% of them. They have been working from home for 2 weeks. We're going to continue this week, and I really believe into the next week. Everybody who has essential items that have to be handled at town hall have been doing that. Finance was in today to make sure paychecks were cut, as well as some voucher checks that had to get out. The assessor's office is working to complete their role for May 1st. I know the planning board secretary and ZBA secretary have been working on different aspects of upcoming meetings, which they will Zoom as well. The clerk's office has been dealing, unfortunately, with a lot of death certificates and a few marriage licenses, I believe, and working on finalizing all those taxes that were paid at the end of this March. So Senior Center, I know Anne-Marie has been working diligently on programs coming up in the summer and taking care and cleaning up her paperwork. The Highway Department is on an as-need basis. I actually got a call from one of the employees today, George Kyden, who was representing everybody, and he wanted to make sure that I thank the entire board for allowing them to work through this in a manner which is safe for them and their families. And George was very appreciative, and he wanted me to echo those sentiments to everyone on the board. So thank you, George. Dial-a-Bus has been diligently working with Meals on Wheels for the office, with the Office for the Aging. They also delivered last week approximately 256 families, and there was over 700 meals that were delivered. So Dom and his staff have been working hard. They were out there today. I saw them at Town Hall picking up the meals, and they did a phenomenal job, and a shout out to them as well. And our water department, they've been out every day, alternating shifts, making sure that our water's either chlorinized and everything with the levels there are up to snuff. So that's really about it. Unfortunately, our court is closed, but I spoke to Judge Schwartz today, and they are continually working on different aspects, paperwork and whatnot. There have been a couple of arraignments that were going on. We did clear up an issue today with Skyping for arrangements with the state troopers. The zone captain actually spoke to me, and then I had him call Judge Schwartz to clear up that issue, which was really a non-issue, but I think Judge Schwartz was given some wrong information. So that said, anybody have anything else to add? Okay, so we need a motion to open up the continuation of the proposed amendment of Chapter 57 of the Town Code.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And that's the public hearing. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, begin, and Scancarello second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Clone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin, aye.
Okay. All right. Any updates or anything else you'd like to add, Max?
Nothing really changed since the last meeting. The document continues to be available at, well, actually, I'm not sure if it's available. I guess the public library is closed, Mr. Cardone?
Yes, it is, but I believe it's available online on our website.
That is correct. It continues to be posted online on the town website. And it was provided to all the interested agencies and was available previously at the clerk's office and in the public library. So at the last meeting, the scheduled public hearing, we did in fact go through a presentation detailing the document and what it contained. Following that, we opened up the public hearing, and based on the ongoing virus, it was continued tonight. And written comment has been continued through April 16th. And that's really the only update we have.
You said written comment through the 16th?
That is correct.
Okay.
Just and Max, that's written comment on the DGIS, right?
That is correct.
Okay. It's not on the local law, which I think that's what we're talking about at the moment.
Well, it's really on both. If you have a comment on the local law or the
Okay.
DEIS, we'd like to hear from you. We will address substantive comments on the DGEIS or the local law
Okay.
in a forthcoming FGEIS or final generic environmental impact statement.
Supervisor, if I can make a suggestion that since we have the local law and the DGEIS on for tonight, we only made the motion to open the local law public hearing, but maybe we can make an additional motion at this point to also open simultaneously the DGEIS public hearing, since it's the same general subject matter.
Yeah,
And this way,
I'll
if
make that
anybody has a
motion.
comment,
I
they
will
can
second.
comment on both. So
All
a
right,
motion by
motion
McGinn, second by,
Councilwoman Bingham. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Cantarillo, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay,
all right, so are there any other council person comments or from Mr. Stock before we go to the public?
Not for me.
Look to the public.
No. Have you,
Okay.
have you gotten any written comments, Max?
Not to my knowledge as of now. Have you received anything, Mary Ellen?
No, I haven't received anything as of today.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so,
I'd like to make a comment on that. for
sure.
just a second, because I think I was talking to Mike, or I was talking to some other people. I like the fact that we're limiting the size of bedrooms and keeping the number of, that's on the 57, what we're doing, correct?
Yeah. Well, we're working on 50.
Going off on another
Talking
tangent.
about 57.
I'm sorry.
and GIS.
Yeah, that's something else. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. My mind was somewhere else. Apologies.
All right, before we go to the public too, I see one person at least has found that option, but there may be a button somewhere under chat or even at the bottom of your screen if you're on an iPhone to raise your hand electronically. You can certainly do that, but I intend to go through the roster and just check with each person. If you called in by telephone, I will just state the last 4 digits of your phone number and then ask you if you have any comments. And again, this is on only right now the amendments to Chapter 57, the CCR
57.
zone, and the DGEIS. There will be regular public comment at a later point, and there are public hearings, but right now the comments that we're asking for is on those 2 items. So I will start.
Just so everybody knows, if at the bottom of your screen, if you click on participants, at the bottom of that window that pops up, it says, there's a little window that says raise hand. So if you do have some sort of question or comment, please feel free to do that.
Thank you, Supervisor. And I will go through and call on you just in case you don't find that. I'm going to start with the one person I see that did find that. And if I mispronounce it, my apologies. Libby Bickle. I'm going to now allow you to talk if you would like to say something.
Mr. Bickle.
I'm trying to see if I can unmute him. He might have to unmute himself, but all right, there we go. Mr.
Yeah,
Bickle,
no
are you there?
comment. Yes, no comment.
Did you want to, no comment?
Yeah, no comment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Phone number, last 4 digits ending in 5845. Would you like to say anything?
No, thank
No
you.
comment.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Nugent, if we could just ask those people other than their, to identify themselves if they are going to make a comment.
Yeah, if they're going to speak, I will have them identify
you.
themselves.
Thank
You're
you, sir.
welcome.
Appreciate that.
Next, we have a caller. Last 4 digits are 8663. If you would like to say anything.
Yes. Hi, this is Lorraine Loaning from the Village of Monroe.
Hi, Lorraine.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear
You're
me?
on. Yes, we can.
Hi. I do have a few comments about the DGIS. The impact on the police. It is unclear to me if this impact is on the state police, where
Yes.
the
Please.
residents will actually be, or if it's on the village police, where I fear that a lot of the traffic is going to go, and ultimately it's going to end up being an increased burden on the village police. So that was unclear to me if it was state or village. So I don't know if they can clarify that, because I do believe the cars going down Rye Hill Road would result in more traffic and likely more car accidents. But there's no specific mention if this is a village PD or the state police. The next thing I have is impact on water. This development would require central water source. A private water source is an option, but it most likely would be the developers petitioning the village for water. It's unclear to me if the village commented on this and if they have the capacity to service its current residents as well as this new development. So if that could be clarified in the DGIS, I would be happy. The sewer district, that is legendary how it's almost at capacity, which it seems like forever. I was just wondering if there was a plan B if when this development actually happened, if there was a plan B so as not to use sewer district number 1 or maybe a private sewer system, something like that. And then the last thing I have is about traffic. This kind of dovetails with my police thing. I think the traffic at Rye Hill Road and Reynolds and Mine, that intersection there, the mitigating measure was to put a 4-way stop sign. I don't like that. I don't think it would solve the problem. I think most people don't know how to navigate a 4-way stop sign, particularly with the speeding problem down Rye Hill Road. It's a downhill, and people go crazy down there. I use that intersection daily a lot, and I see speeding all the time, and I'm not sure a 4-way stop sign would mitigate that. Also, there's no mention of a lot of that traffic that is going to go through that intersection is actually going to turn onto Reynolds and out onto Orange Turnpike. And there was no mention of that intersection at all. As it is now in the mornings, when the school is in session and there's buses making left turns, that can back up a lot and take quite a while to get through that intersection. I was wondering if there was some mitigating measure, maybe a light, a left turn signal, something like that, because that was completely left out of this DG EIS. I think that's all I have. It does seem to me that the town is benefiting all financially, and it looks like a lot of the problems are going to be pushed into the village. I would have liked to have seen the village have some comment onto this DG EIS. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine. All right, so next caller, last 4 digits of the phone number are 3315, and bringing them in if they would like to say something. Hold on. I think I might have lost that person. Oh, no, they're there. 3315. Did you have any comment? Okay, gonna guess not. The next caller will be last 4 digits 5845. And I will bring them in now.
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Last 4 digits of the phone number 9031.
Hello?
Yes. You want to speak on this public hearing?
Yes, I do. Thanks.
Okay.
Ward
Just
Brower, private citizen.
Oh, Ward Brower. How are you, Ward? Go ahead.
Know me. Okay. Just a couple of questions. One is sort of tongue-in-cheek, but it's not really. And that is, I don't understand why the town board would want to take on the role of a planning board. In my brief 30 years of observing town boards, I've only seen the town board do that once, and it never repeated it again. It's a tremendous task, and you guys as a town board have your own jobs. So that's just a question. I don't understand why you want to take that role on. As I said, I've seen it work and not work well. That was number one. Number two, watching the planning board brief comment. I agree with the town engineer for the planning board that the use of centralized water and sewer is a problematic device, to say the least. The town of Monroe has had a checkered history with this mechanism. In fact, most of I believe our water districts are former centralized districts that went belly up for one reason or another. So I think we shouldn't even explore that. We should go to a municipal option and do away with all this, because eventually that's what we end up with. There's only one that I'm aware of still functioning, and that is Mansion Ridge, and that's probably because with their sewer, is it's an intricate part of their operation of the golf course. Other than that, it probably would have gone up a long time ago, would have gone down the road. Number 3, it's on the seeker sort of deal, and I don't understand the concept of using the planners. I presume you use the planners to play the dual role of applicant and board. And then, if I understand correctly, when this process is done, that project will theoretically be ready, will be done, and it'll be ready to be implemented. And my gut feeling is somehow you can't have one agency playing two sides of the issue. Normally, we have an applicant coming in, and they're profit motivated for the most part. And then we have a town board or a planning board looking after the rights of the citizens, if you will. And that's two separate issues. And it takes a while to get these issues ironed out. So I don't think that project is vetted well, having just one, and that's my observation, empirical observation for many years of watching municipal governments in operation. Number 4 is a repeat for those of you who've been listening to me for the last 12 months or whatever. And that is, I like the concept of open space preservation. And if we had an example of a theoretical 200-acre parcel, and if you save 65% of that, that would be 130 acres forever green. The problem I have is that's a tempting target. Having 130 acres sitting there, and without a good mechanism to protect it, as the well-renowned attorney Dennis Lynch has pointed out, all these agreements can be broken. It's just a matter of difficulty it takes to break them up. And I would like to see something other than either a state option park, or if it's on the town level, I really would have it set up where we have to go before the voters, not just the town board. As I said, the town board potentially gets changed every 2 years. And you may not have such a benevolent town board 2 years down the road. So that's a concern and I've voiced it numerous times. The other one is a pet peeve of mine, but watched over the years, it hasn't worked well, and that's the bedroom count. Bedroom count is an inaccurate, difficult number to arrive at. Engineers spend a lot of time and a lot of effort, and even if they did get it right in one scenario, as we've seen with the case in point with Smith Farm, it was vetted for a standard-sized family of roughly 4.5 people per 4-bedroom unit. Then it was taken over by the LLCs, and that bedroom count is no longer applicable. And that means that all that hard work in the seeker process is really null and void, and there's nothing you can do about it because these are legal permits. So once they're done, there's no ramifications to amend it, and you're stuck with an inaccurate count. I prefer to go to a regular occupant count from the get-go, then we know what the number is, and if the applicant supplies the count, I don't see how the applicant can complain about being prejudicial or not. All the applicant has to do is to do the math and say this system works, and we can verify that. And that's really it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ward.
Thank you, Ward.
Thank you, Ward.
Okay, we are moving on to Jeff Manson. Just for people seeing the panel, that you might see a Paul Vessel appeared. Paul's going to be speaking on an agenda item concerning the LED streetlight conversion, so that's why he's showing up as a panelist. So I'm moving on to Jeff Manson to see if Jeff would like to say anything. No, Jeff is using an older version, so I got to make him a panelist temporarily if he wants to talk. Jeff, can you hear me? Oh, wait, hold on. I got you muted. All right, there we go. Do you want to say anything, Jeff?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to just state for the record that for this, I'd like to act under my hat as acting chair of the planning board. I just want to report into the board that on Monday the 30th, your planning board, as one of the interested agencies, had a very engaging meeting discussing the CCR and the change to the zoning law, as Ward alluded to. We have a follow-up meeting on April 9th where we will be finalizing our feedback, and we'll be getting that into you. So I just had a question. If any of the members of the planning board had any feedback they wanted to provide outside of our feedback as a group, if they had individual feedback, I was a little confused at the beginning. Would it be more appropriate to submit that to Max, or would that be more appropriate to submit that to Mary Ellen?
Brian, I would say Mary Ellen, correct?
Yeah, I think it's always appropriate to submit it through Mary Ellen, and then she would forward comments to Max or whoever else. She's sort of the conduit for all information coming in.
That's great. I'll make sure that the rest of the planning board members are aware of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jeff, I might have to leave you there as a panelist, but I'm just going to mute you because you have an older version of Zoom, so I'm not sure what to do with you yet. Hopefully I don't disconnect you. Thank you. All right, so we have my wonderful executive assistant, Shannon Daly. I don't know if she wants to say hello to everybody.
Hello, Shannon.
Oh,
Hello,
she's muted.
Shannon.
She doesn't want to talk to us.
Can you blame her?
I don't blame her. Then we have Spectrum News. If they would like to make any comment, they are now available. Maybe just have to unmute them if we can. Spectrum News, you're muted right now. I can't unmute you, so I'm going to assume there's no comment at this point. But if you do, just send a chat message and we'll put you on there. And then lastly, we have Tracy S. And I'm going to unmute Tracy if I can. Oh, I think Tracy's there. Hold on. Tracy, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you want to make a comment on this public hearing?
Sure. Tracy Hugh. I'm with the Preservation Collective, nonprofit. Some of you know me and know that I've expressed concerns over time about a particular project that the Monroe Planning Board had moved forward as a cluster. But at that time, there was no town code guidelines for a cluster design. So on one hand, I'm pleased that you are now addressing this flaw in the code. But at the same time, that particular project, which now is probably over 15 years ago, when the Orange County Planning Commissioner, Dave Church, looked at it, he claimed that his summary was that the cluster was a misrepresentation and an overutilization of the site. So that's why I'm following what you're proposing now in the code. I hope that when I get through it all, I'll be able to give some helpful input. I wanted to compile some comments by the written deadline. My question was, who do I send comments to? Do I email them or mail them?
Yeah, they're going to go to our clerk, Mary Ellen Beams.
Okay. And my other question was, I haven't gotten through all the documents. Has the county commented on any of this already?
We can't be answering all these questions as we go through. We'll have our planner address most of them.
Okay, I just wanted to know if that's available for public comment. That's all.
Okay. Is there anything else, Tracy, you wanted to put in as a comment, and then we can address it at the end?
No, I just wanted to know if that was available for people to review before the deadline. That's all.
Okay, yeah, I could tell you that it definitely will be, but we can address any questions. We'll give the board members or Mr. Stock an opportunity to comment. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
All right, so I am going to, I think that's actually it on the attendees that are here. So that's the end of the comment on the public hearing.
All right, thank you. Max, I'm going to have you answer Tracy's. Mike, do you want to answer Ward's concern? And I'll really quick, I'll answer Lorraine's. Lorraine, I think your first 4 points were all in the DGEIS. The water was addressed by the village. The traffic, there was a traffic study done there. I will tell you this, the four-way stop, we had a two-way stop where I live, which I travel every day. And it was only a two-way stop, and it was very similar to Rye Hill with a downhill section at the intersection of Gilbert Street and High Street. And there is actually a bend in the road, which makes it a little more difficult to navigate than the true perpendicular four-way intersection that exists on Rye Hill and mine. That became a four-way stop. And I will tell you this, before it was a four-way stop, I got in an accident there. I haven't been in an accident since. And I think that there has been a drop in the rate. I can't confirm that, but I know that it has become a lot safer in the winter. And once people get used to it, which is about 30 to 60 days, and the repetition of constantly stopping there, I think it will be extremely helpful in alleviating some of the accidents that currently occur over on Rye and Mine Road. And the development will be serviced by the state police.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to just go back and address everybody's question here. Tonight is somewhat of a special public hearing in that State Environmental Quality Review is a highly regimented and regulated process in New York. And so every question that was received tonight will be officially answered in the forthcoming final generic environmental impact statement. And that official answer will be the official answer of the town board that is currently serving as lead agency of this zoning for purposes of environmental review.
Okay.
So really, the purpose, I understand, easy questions, such as the question as who do we get our comments to? Absolutely proper to respond to, but it's the process of seeker that every question tonight that is of substance, we're going to sit down with the town board and go over responses, thoughtful responses, any requests for additional information. That's all the questions we received tonight. And that's all the written comments that we will receive up until April 16th. With regard to the county's review of the DGEIS, that review, those review comments are due, just like everybody else's, by April 16th, at which point they will receive responses in the FGEIS, as will everyone else. So in some respect, I just want to clarify that while you will be able to see the county's comments on the law, and you will see the town board's responses to those comments, you will not see that before the deadline on the DGEIS. That said, after this entire process is completed, there will be additional public hearings and opportunity for public input. And that will be before this particular zone, which is known as a floating zone, is ever actually mapped for any parcel in the town. So there's a whole process to that requires additional public hearings. There will be additional opportunities to provide input at that point. Additionally, one other clarification is prior to adoption of this zoning, the county also is entitled to make a general municipal law review. So they have the DGEIS right now, and they have the authority to comment on the DGEIS, but they have a secondary authority under general municipal law to review this for municipal implications, what this could do to surrounding neighbors and so forth. And that review, they do not have to issue until such time that they've had a chance to review the FGEIS. So that said, that may be a process where we receive some of the county's comments by April 16th, and we may receive additional comments closer to the end of this process, which is likely at this point with the schedule here to be sometime in late May or early June at the earliest. So there's still a little bit more process. It's a deliberative process. It's every comment will be given significant thought. Additional analysis may have to be made. If we've missed things, that will be covered. And then the document will be made available for public review before the town board makes its determination on whether to adopt Article 57. And then, like I said, again, even after that's done, there's still a process for landing the zoning, which will require a public hearing. And even if the zoning is landed, then there'll be public hearings involved with the site plan review before the planning board. So I just wanted to clarify the process. And I think that should answer the questions with regard to the timing of the county.
Thank you. Sorry for jumping the gun there, Max.
Yeah, thank you, Max. And I just have one really brief comment, and it was for Ward. And the town board is not assuming the planning board's duties. And I know you're going to address that, but it's really kind of outside of secret and what we're doing. But I think that's just a misconception or misunderstood on his part. We're not taking over the planning board's duties when it comes to this. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because that's, I think, an important distinction that people should be aware of.
All right, so Supervisor, I think at this point we need a motion to continue to a specific date and time. This will be both hearings, the Chapter 57 amendments and the DGEIS.
Okay, so.
Hold on 1 second. So just for clarification, if you continue the public hearing to an additional date, you will also have to extend the written comment period. Because the written comment period cannot end until 10 days following the close of the public hearing on the DGEIS. So you can continue the public hearing on the local law, but if you continue the hearing on the DGEIS, then we won't be able to start the process of addressing comments and preparing the FGEIS.
Hey, Max, would that be your preference or your recommendation? And I'm not trying to hang it on you. Don't get me wrong.
Well, really, the question is, has the public had a reasonable opportunity to review the document and comment on it, or will they have that opportunity before the written comment period runs out in 10 days on the 16th? If you feel that that has been accomplished with these, the first extension, then by all means, I think you can close the public hearing on the DGEIS and continue it on the local law. If you feel there should be additional time period given for the public review, then by all means, you should extend it to the next date.
What is the preference of the board?
Well, listen, we've had 2 public hearings on this, and you know, we've had participation. I know we haven't received much in the way of written comment at this point, but you know, we will be open for the next 10 days to the 16th for open comment, for written comment. So, I mean, if we extend it out to the next meeting, which will most likely be done in this format as well, this, you know, it's not we'll still be using the Zoom format at the next meeting on the 20th, I believe. So if we were to do that and extend it out, it would be we'd be looking at the 30th roughly, I think, for the
yeah, because the meeting's on the 20th, so
right.
May 1st.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think we've received, you know, a good amount of public comment. I don't see, I think I think a lot of the comments that we've heard already are matters that were addressed already in the DGIS, but some haven't been. And listen, we could get quite a bit of written comment, in which case that would, delay what we're trying to do here. So, I mean, I'm fine if we want to end it here and just keep it open for the written comment. That's my feelings.
Okay. Anyone else? Councilman Cologne?
No, I think keeping it open for the written comment, I think would, and given the circumstances and how we're meeting and everything else, I think that would probably be most appropriate.
Okay. Councilman Scangarello?
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep it open for the written comments. I think we've heard from the community about it, so I think written comments at this point are good enough.
Councilwoman Bingham lost connection. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just noticed
Yeah.
has she tried to get back in, or?
She's trying, but her internet connection went down.
Does she have an iPhone? She can't
That's
do
what
it
I'm
that
gonna
way.
see if she could call in.
Yeah, or she can do the iPhone. There's an app. If she has an iPhone, she can
Yeah.
do it through her cellular and come on that way. Do you want to wait for her to return?
Yeah, I mean, we can continue with the other public hearings and then come back to that before we proceed. Would that be okay? Or do we have to close? Do we have to?
Brian, are you suggesting to keep open 57 and close the DGEIS as per the board's recommendation here?
Here's my thought. If you're going to close the DGEI, I think you should keep open 57, and there's no harm in doing that as far as the local law and the CCR zone. As far as the environmental review, I think that you have a 10-day comment period. I would only suggest that if the board is going to leave it open for written comment, that opportunity be posted on the website. In addition, that I know you have the constant contact, or the email blast that the town board can send out to put out the fact that the written comment can be received for an additional 10 days through the 16th, by whatever means, to let the public know that they could submit written comments as to the environmental review and the DGEIS. And I think that would be sufficient. And as to the law itself and the floating zone, they'll still have an opportunity to comment on that. This is really just closing the public hearing with respect to the DGEIS and the environmental review. And then Mr. Stock in the final environmental impact statement will respond to the comments that have been made tonight and proceeding tonight, as well as those that are received in writing through April 16th.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Tony, my only thing was, do we want to wait for Mary to get back on before?
Yeah, that's what I texted her. I'm waiting for that. So, so
I'll just leave this open for the time being.
Yeah, we'll leave this open. We'll go back to it. And,
Yes.
Yeah, so why don't we just, for lack of a better term, table these two public hearings right now without closing, without adjourning, and then we can move on to the next agenda item. And then when Councilwoman Bingham comes in, we can deal with that.
All right, I'll make a motion. We table the two pending items, the Chapter 57 and the DGIS 4.10, 4.1, and 4.10.
Call on the second.
Seconded, call the question.
Call on the second.
No, are you seconded? So
Question, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
All right, thanks. Brian, you can put Mary back in again. She seems to be on.
Okay, is she in the attendee? She's raising her hand too. I guess we should bring her in. Okay. Or, I mean, I am promoting her to a panelist now as we speak, and she should be coming in.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear to be a panelist.
Councilwoman Bingham, we hear you. We don't see you yet, but I will send you a request to start your video so that you can join us again.
There we are.
All right.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Councilwoman Bingham back.
Good.
So we just adopted a few laws and things while you were gone. So you guys want to just can leave off where we were now on the public hearings? Max?
Yeah, I was looking at the calendar and I believe Passover is beginning on Thursday here. And one possible consideration you could make is rather than closing the public comment period on Thursday, the 16th, might be to keep it open until the 20th,
Okay.
which is the
Our
date of
meeting.
your next meeting.
Yeah.
And you might be able to come to that meeting and have Mary Ellen just announce if any written comments have been received.
All right.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. So the 10-day is a minimum. It's not a maximum. So to Max's point, you could extend the written comment period further. And as I suggested, put that out there on the website and through the email blast to let everybody know. So do you want to go April 20th?
Yes.
All right. So Councilwoman Bingham, while you were gone, we were discussing closing the public hearing on the DGEIS for Chapter 57, but leaving the written comment period open now till April 20th, and then continuing the public hearing on the local law for Chapter 57, and whether you had any feelings on that.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
All right.
So you want to, now we would need a motion to continue. Why don't we do two motions? The first one will be to continue the public hearing on the amendments to Chapter 57 until whatever your next board meeting is at 7.
So we'll continue. I'll make the motion to continue the public hearing on the amendment of Chapter 57 of the Town Code for April 20th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
I'll second it.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Scarecrow, aye.
Begin aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, now the motion will be to close the public hearing on the DGEIS with written comment period to remain open until April 20th at, call it 7:15 p.m.
No, well, it's 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Well, because this is a closing of the written comment period in the event somebody shows up that night with written comments to give to the town clerk, I'm just saying keep it for 7:15 to close the written comment period.
Throw me a curveball tonight. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council.
Stick with
I
me
don't
now.
think anybody could come by with written comments.
What's that, Max?
I don't know that anybody could come by with written comments unless we tell them where Mary Ellen lives.
No, there's a board meeting
There's a
that
board
night.
meeting that night.
So she'll.
Yeah, but that's assuming that we're having a
I don't think you're going to be at town hall.
Well,
okay, so then
But
they
I'd
could-
still leave it at that because I agree we probably won't be, but I don't want to say anything for sure. We could always set Mary Ellen up in the town hall and just leave her there to accept written comment.
Or Mary Ellen.
All right. Well, we'll leave the comments open till April 20th anyway.
Yes.
They can mail them to town hall. They can email them to the clerk. However they see fit.
Yeah, and if we have no physical meeting, it'll be emailed by 7:15 p.m.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
I'd like to make a motion that we close the DGIS public hearing and keep the written comment open until the 20th.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Scarecrow, aye.
Begin
Yeah.
aye.
Okay. All right, so moved. Okay, so we need a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14. No, that's the same as what we just did.
No, this is the we've had this continued. This is
Oh, this is the area.
yes, the
Yes,
acre
okay.
and so on.
Yeah, all right. So we need a motion to open the continuation of public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law. I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Okay. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Scarecrow, aye.
Begin aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, so do you want me to just poll who we have 9 attendees right now?
Okay.
All right, so phone number, last 4 digits, 5845. Would you like to comment on Article 14 zoning amendments?
No, thank you.
And then
Okay,
just to clarify, that's the non-conforming uses.
yes, thank you. Okay, last four digits, phone number 3315. Would you like to speak on Chapter 14 zoning amendments regarding non-conforming
comment.
uses? Okay,
No comment.
thank you. And we have next up, Lorraine, would you like to comment on Chapter 14 zoning amendments?
No, thank you.
Okay. Ward Brower, private citizen, would you like to comment on Chapter 14 zoning amendments?
Yes, I would. I'd like to know what the status is. My neighbors are still wondering, they're still out in limbo there, you know, they're still illegal non-conforming when they should be illegal conforming, non-conforming legal. I don't know what the status is, where we are in the progression of this thing. Thank you.
Hey, Max, would you like to comment on that?
Well, the status is they're still in preparation. We were sidetracked a little bit by the 57 zoning. I think we have a good opportunity to get going on that again. We have received a lot of comments from various people on the version that had been floated so far, a lot of concerns that it might need to be reconsidered. And so that's going to take some time to go through and come up with a little bit different approach to address some of the feedback that we've received so far.
Okay. Ward, you good?
Ward?
Yeah, Ward, did you have any other comments?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
No, I'm just waiting with bated breath, as they say.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ward.
Thank you. Okay,
We have Jeff Manson. Would you like to speak on the Article 14 zoning amendments?
Jeff Manson, private citizen, no comment at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Shannon does not really care about Article 14, my wonderful assistant. We have Spectrum News. I will chime them in the event that they want to speak on Article 14. And since they're not unmuting, I'm going to presume they do not have a comment on that. So Supervisor, I will turn it back to you.
okay. So we need a motion either to continue Article 14 or close the public hearing for Article 14. Max's suggestion is, I believe, to keep it open.
Yeah, just for the purpose of not having to re-advertise, I think.
Okay.
But you might not want to necessarily continue it to your very next meeting, because I'm not sure that we're going to have anything to discuss by the 20th.
Okay. All right. So how about I'll make a motion to hold off the continuation, or to have the continuation of the public hearing for the changes to Article 14 of Town of Monroe zoning law to May 4th, which is our first meeting in May, at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Malone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right. I'll make a motion to open up the public hearing for the continuation of the Old Country Road Water District. We have a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Malone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Mr. Nugent, I know we were awaiting a response from Mr. Trotter on this. Have we received that yet?
We have not. The Supervisor, on about March 18th, I had sent an email to Mr. Trotter concerning, if you remember at the last public hearing that we had in person, there was an issue about two-family residences and water lines, and so we had made some changes just with respect to that issue in the draft intermunicipal agreement, and so we're waiting a response from Mr. Trotter and the village on those comments. So the public hearing is on. We can poll the individuals again, see if they want to speak, but that's the status right now, so we would need to continue this in any event.
Okay.
Do you want me to poll the
Yeah, I would-
attendees?
Yeah, poll the attendees, please.
Okay, I think it is Michelle Dixler. Would you like to speak on this? Okay. Oh, sorry, Michelle? All right. Ward Brower, private citizen. Ward, did you want to speak on this one?
I think Michelle's on.
All
I
right,
don't,
hold
but I
on.
think Michelle's.
Okay, let me go back to Michelle. Hang on one second. Michelle, are you there? Can you hear me?
Oh, no comment, but this is not Michelle.
Oh, all right. Sorry. I think I
No worries.
missed.
That was my fault, Brian. I thought that was Michelle. My fault.
Can you just give me your name so I can name you appropriately?
Diane.
Diane. Okay, thank you. All right, so back to you, Ward. I unmuted you if you would like to say something.
No comment on.
Okay, thank you. Jeff Manson promoted to panelist again. Would you like to say anything on this one?
No comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's You're always happy and chipper, Jeff Manson.
And we have Libby Bickle, who may want to say something on this one, so I'm going to unmute him. Mr. Bickle, are you there? I
Not
can't
unmuted yet.
Yeah, I know. I can't unmute him, so I think he has to accept that. So maybe. Oh, Mr. Bickle, you there?
Yes, no comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Spectrum News, we'll unmute them for a moment. If they would like to say something, it seems not. And then lastly, we have Tracy S. Tracy, would you like to say anything on this one?
No, I'm not familiar. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Supervisor, so back to you.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to keep open the public hearing regarding the continuation of the Old Country Road Water District for April 16th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Hold on a second.
Seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we had, Madam Clerk, we had a public hearing notice regarding the Community Development Block Grant for the Senior Center ADA improvements for 2000 and I think it's, I always get confused here. I want to say it's 21 year, but it might be 20. So, Mary Ellen?
Yes, that notice was noticed for March 16th. We opened up that public hearing, so this is continuation.
On March 16th? Right.
We
so
opened
this
it
is a
up on March 16th and we continue.
Okay. So, right, but I'm just making sure, is it 20 or 21?
The notice does say, it just says the center, but I do believe it is 21.
Okay,
It's 2021.
okay,
But if you
okay.
give me a
So,
second, I'll see if I can.
all right, that said, anyone on the board have any comments?
Nope.
Mike? No?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Nugent, did you want to poll the, Brian, when you poll everyone this time, can you just ask if they have the capability to raise their hand with the Zoom program? This way, we might not necessarily have to go through and poll everyone each time.
I think only the individuals that are online which is Jeff, Spectrum, Tracy. The other ones are calls. Right now, we
Okay.
only have 7. So what is, you're commenting now on which, the,
Yeah, the public hearing on the CDBG grant for the ADA improvements at the senior center.
okay, so I'll just pull them quickly. We have really only, I think, 6 that are potentially commenting. So Lorraine, do you wish to comment on the Community Development Block Grant public hearing?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine. Then we have Diane, if she would like to speak on this public hearing.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Ward Brower on the Community Development Block Grant public hearing.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ward. Guess who got promoted to panelist again? It's Jeff Manson.
Come on down. I'm Price is right.
Jeff, would you like to talk about the Community Development Block Grant?
No, thank you.
All right, Jeff, save me some trouble. Is there any public hearing tonight that you want to comment on?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have a new Kelly Albers. Kelly, I'm unmuting you now if you would like to comment. This is a hearing on Community Development Block Grant. And if you want to comment, you just need to unmute yourself and say what you want to say. Okay. Spectrum News. Community Development Block Grant, no. And lastly, we have Tracy S. If you would like to comment on Community Development Block Grant.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Supervisor, back to you.
Okay, with that said, we have some time constraints, and I think this is pretty simple. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on the senior center ADA improvements through the CDBG application process.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. All those in favor, oh, I'm sorry, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. So moved. Okay, so we have to open up the public hearing with regard to the petition to amend the zoning ordinance, Monroe Nininger LLC. I will make that motion to open that public hearing.
Cologne, a second.
Seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
And just to clarify, I think this is a continuation, correct? Was this previously opened?
Continuation, correct.
Yeah, this
All
is the fifth, the change of height in the HI from
Yes,
40 to 50 feet.
correct.
Okay, so I will run through and see if anybody wants to comment on the proposed change, petition of Monroe Nininger to amend the height restriction in the HI district. And we are starting with Diane. Would you like to comment on this particular public hearing?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ward Brower, private citizen.
No comment, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We know Jeff is not interested. Kelly Albers, any comment on this public hearing? Okay. Lorraine.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Spectrum News. Any comment? Okay. And then lastly, we have Tracy S. If you have any comment on this public hearing.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Supervisor.
Okay. Does the board have any opinion whether to keep this open, continue it, or close it?
you know, I believe, just kind of going back, I think the planning board is we were kind of constrained on this by the project that was before the planning board. Mr. Nugent, am I correct on that? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to close it.
Yeah, I don't know if we can close this yet. I do believe there was still some planning board review going on. So my recommendation would be to continue this at least till the 20th, and we can follow up on that.
Right, because this was brought to our attention via petition from a developer that was building a project that wanted the increase in height.
Yeah, and I believe that is pending before the planning board. So I would continue this at least till the 20th, and then we can follow up
Okay.
on that date.
I'll make the motion that we keep it open to the 20th and till the 20th till 7:20 or
7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
7 p.m. or immediately
Well
thereafter.
done.
I will second
Well, I
that.
know we had something already at 7:15, so whatever. I was just
Well, that was just, Brian said that because of the fact we closed it. And that's written
Yes.
comment.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you for
That was my curveball, as he put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
You and I are on
I
the same
second.
page, Mike. You always.
Oh
do.
yeah, we're right on the same page.
Yes. Seconded by
Right.
Councilwoman Bingham.
Almost telepathic.
Yeah. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Malone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin. Aye.
Okay, so moved.
The final public hearing of the night.
Final public hearing of the
my
evening.
gosh.
I'll leave this up to Councilwoman Bingham.
Okay,
You
after
have
many revisions, because it has to do with engineering and legal, we needed a cross-contamination law, a cross-connection to prevent contamination of our water systems, our public water supplies down in Monroe. So this specifically will relate to water districts 12, 14, and 2. A lot of the other water districts get their water from the village, and that is not our water supply, that is the village's water supply. So we have the law, it's gone to the engineer, and he's happy with the last changes we made. That was in section 53-26, I believe. And I think it's ready to go for a vote. Unless, we need the public comments, so I don't know if anybody's in the queue for the public comment.
Supervisor,
we
want me
need
to
a-
go?
No, well, we need a motion.
We got to
to
open,
up
yes.
The public
Okay.
hearing.
So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin. Aye.
Did you hear me on that one, or am I muted?
No, we just totally disregarded you, Councilman Colon, but
It's okay, I'm used to it already.
No, I didn't think,
Malone, aye.
I didn't know if you stepped out. What was your vote?
Stepped out,
Aye.
yeah, stepped
He-
on, stepped out, whatever.
Councilman Colon voted aye for the opening of the
Aye.
public hearing. It's unanimous.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
All right, so you want me to poll the attendees?
Yes, please.
Okay, Lorraine, starting with you. Have any comments on the cross-connection local law?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Diane, I gotta rename Diane here because all right. Diane, would you like to comment on the cross-connection local law?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Ward Brower, private citizen.
No comment.
Thank you, Ward. Jeff is out. Spectrum News, will bring them in case they've been waiting around all night for this.
Just for this.
Nope, doesn't
Nope.
seem like it.
Nothing, huh?
And lastly, Tracy S., if you would like to comment on the cross-connection local law.
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you for those people that unmute themselves and at least tell us, no thank you. All right, so back to you, Supervisor.
Okay, that said, Mary, I want to thank you because I know this was a long haul and there were many midnight emails to Mr. Nugent. And I know you worked really hard on this and diligently. We appreciate it. It's
Yes,
not-
absolutely. Mary.
You were the one that actually initiated it too. So thank you.
Yes.
Great job, Mary.
So,
Thank-
Mary, did you want to close the public hearing on
Yes,
this?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll
I will
second.
gladly second it.
Councilman Scancarello beat you to it.
All right.
Sorry, Mike.
That's okay.
Okay, so
That's
call
okay.
the question. Malone.
I'm listening. I'm here.
All right. Call the question. Mary?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Perdon, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay, so moved. All right.
All right. It's law.
It's law.
Not until it gets filed with the Secretary of State.
State. Right.
Hey, what is this local law number, by the way? Is this local law number one of?
I would defer to our wonderful town clerk,
Sure.
Mary Ellen Beams, to tell us what number this will be.
I'm trying to, I think it's one, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think so too.
I
Yeah, I
can't
think-
remember the last one we.
Yeah, we didn't, I don't believe we
I
did.
think the peddling was the last. Number
And that
one.
was last year.
Yeah, so I think it is one of 2020. So we'll finalize that, get the form for filing, and then we can send that up to Secretary of State.
All
All
right.
right, thank you.
All right.
Okay,
thanks.
thank you all. Thank you, Councilwoman Bingham and
That's one bringing you
Supervisor.
number one.
Back to you.
Okay, so we have the minutes from 3 different meetings. We have the minutes of March 2nd.
Hold on, they're doing minutes.
We want to do 3 separate motions. I'll make a motion to adopt
Yes,
minutes of March 2nd.
okay.
Cologne, second.
Cologne, second.
No.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Perdon, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay, so moved. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 16th, 2020.
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Bingham. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention before, but any changes, revisions, corrections? Nope. Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay, so moved. And then the final set of minutes is for March 25th. I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of March 25th.
Cologne, a second.
Any changes, revisions, alterations, corrections? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin I.
Okay, so moved. Okay. So next up on the agenda is the aeration at Round Lake, which at one of the prior meetings, we approved, I believe it was the March 2nd meeting, but we approved the spending of $1,000 for pellets to be used on the western side of Round Lake. That said, I had a conversation with Solitude Lake Management, and Solitude informed me that the pellets do not work unless we do an aeration process there. Now, the aeration process is approximately $4,300. One of the owners along the shore there, who has property on that western side, had requested to pay 50% of that cost.
Oh,
So if the board would like to entertain that, I would like to move forward, because that side of the lake has been the constant issue for about 8 to 10 years. And the issue arose from the development that happened over in the Interlochen Parkway area over the years, and all the silt runoff that actually came down to that, directly to the southern side of the property owned by Jake Ehrenreich. And Jake is the one who has volunteered to kindly pay for 50% of that. So you tell me the flavor of the board. I will say that we do have a little extra money in our budget regarding that. And we can fund that $2,150 through the budget.
Was there something also for like
This is
$375?
additional price, yeah.
Is special, yeah, some special piece of equipment to go with it? Do we need it?
I gotta be honest with you, Mary, I couldn't.
We can always vote on that at a separate meeting.
Yeah, the addition of the kit provides additional, yeah, so it's a kit. So
I guess, yeah, it's to keep the compressor that they use
that's to
for
keep, yeah,
quiet.
that's to keep everything operational during the aeration process. So, yeah, it's $370 additional. So if we're looking at 4774, I will ask Jake if he's willing to split that. So it would be 2387, I believe.
Has this ever been done here?
No, it has not. And they've recommended it the last 2 years. And the first year was after the budget was done. And then last year, last year's budget, we were trimming,
Right.
and so I didn't do anything with it. And this year, I had upped the cost a little bit to include this in it. So,
I think if we have the money to do it, I think we should definitely attempt to do it.
Yeah. All right.
Especially if the gentleman's willing to pay half.
Yeah. So, I'll make the motion that we approve the spending of $43.72 plus an additional $370, which brings the total to $47.42.
I'll second that.
Is that the total or is that minusing the half?
Yeah, that's minus.
Minus in the what, Rick?
Is
A half
that,
donation from the private owner, landowner?
No, we're approving the spending of it, and I was going to add that provided the private landowner pays for 50% of it.
okay. Cologne second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Cologne. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
McKenna,
Okay, so moved. Thank you very much. Okay. Brian,
Yes, sir.
I believe Paul Vessel might be one of those
Paul's on.
our panel.
He's in and he's on video. He's on right now. He's visible to everybody.
Okay.
got a beautiful mountain view.
He's in the Rocky Mountains and looks like he's
Yeah.
having a good time.
That's Mount Everest.
Mount Everest. Well, there you go.
All right.
For the top.
Paul is with Real Term Energy. He's been patient, and he he just wants to give us a little update as to the comparison of the lighting conversion versus if we went and did it through our electric provider, Orange and Rockland. So Paul, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Would you like me to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you can do that.
All right.
Thank you for joining us and being patient. I know you got on about 7:30, Paul.
No worries, no worries. Can everybody see a summary of LED upgrade analysis?
No.
I don't actually.
See you still.
It does say you can share. I'm not sharing, so it should work. All right, hold on. I think we got it now. There we go.
Okay.
Yep, we got it.
All right. So you see summary of LED upgrade analysis?
Yes.
Okay. We did this actually with a lower fixture rate than than Monroe has, but you can see, and the percentages will be similar when we have our final investment grade audit complete. You see on the scenario, the base case, Orange and Rockland, and then municipality LED with no financing and with financing. So the savings is roughly 4.5 to 5 times more should Monroe elect to take ownership of your streetlights and convert it yourselves. And your operating cost is about 3 times less than it would be if you were to continue with Orange and Rockland. We've done this analysis for many municipalities within the O&R territory. So the numbers are quite similar to what we've seen before. In addition to the substantial increase in savings and decrease in cost, the other benefits that are weaned by having this done by professional integrators such as Real Term Energy, rather than having the utility do it, include better quality. So O&R, just like all of the other utilities, when they carry out a conversion, they simply swap out the lights in a 1-for-1 basis. Every 150 watt high pressure sodium would be replaced with a LED equivalent, and so on and so forth across the wattage levels. There's no photometric design, there's no customization, and there's no optimization. So what we have gone through, and you're going to have this final investment grade audit report very soon, in about a week. We went unique street by street basis through Monroe and designed the solution, the photometrically designed solution, based on all the particularities and all the differences that you have from street to street and from intersection to intersection. The result is you're going to have better lighting, you're going to have a lot less light loss, so less loss into the atmosphere, on the ground, and behind the light. You'll have safer lighting, and you'll be saving a lot more money and a lot more energy. I'll take you to another report here.
Hey, Paul, sorry to interrupt. Just if you can, just keep in mind we have some people that are participating by telephone only. So if you do throw out some figures or whatever, maybe just mention a number or two so they hear the numbers that we're talking about.
Okay. So again, this was based on a lower fixture count, but we sent you the analysis just so you could see on the 20-year operating savings with Orange and Rockland is roughly 116,000, and the savings, the 20-year operating savings with a Monroe ownership-based conversion is about $500,000. Similarly, on the operating cost under the utility is 620,000 with O&R. That number goes down to 237,000. Again, these were numbers that were below the numbers that that Monroe has. So you're going to see even greater differences in operating savings and greater differences on the low end on operating costs. We worked up a proposal at the beginning of this project. Do you see this here, the expected savings? Can everybody see the expected savings table?
I see it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So after all is said and done, when you take ownership of the streetlights and then we convert them to much more efficient LED streetlights, you'll be saving about 78%. So whereas today you're spending roughly $67,000, when the project is over, that's per year. When the project is over, that number goes down to roughly $15,000. It's the reason why the vast majority of municipalities in the state of New York and throughout North America have or are in the process of converting their streetlights to LED. So where are we in the project? We've competitively bid out the two most important cost components of the project, which are the labor and the materials. I'll show you just so you have an idea on our methodology. This is the product evaluation report, which you're going to have together with the investment grade audit. What we're doing is we're comparing and contrasting different streetlights based on different criteria. So we're looking at the fixture price. We're looking at the 10-year operational cost. We're doing a photometric analysis. And then we're looking at, and this is a highly technical streetlight term, lumens per watt per dollar. Then we rank the different fixtures that were submitted to us in the competitive bid, and we weight them. So we give different weightings to the different criteria, and that gives us a total possible score of 100. All of the manufacturers that put forth a bid are very high quality fixtures. We call them tier 1 in the industry. So the ones that were part of this analysis were GE, Eaton Cooper, and Leotech, all very high quality fixtures, all have hundreds of thousands, millions of these streetlights deployed all over North America and all over the world. And so here are the results. It was fairly close between Eaton Cooper and GE. Eaton Cooper came out slightly ahead with a very high score of 99.2, with GE scoring in at 98.3. Here you have a depiction of what these luminaires look like. Fairly similar in their aesthetics. You know, a lot of the Cobra Head LED fixtures look very much like this, so not much of a difference from an aesthetic standpoint. So that's a brief overview. In about a week's time, you're going to have the final investment grade audit, which will include this product evaluation report. It'll include all the final analyses on energy savings and cost. It'll have all the photometric designs for all the unique street types within Monroe. It'll have all the maintenance information. It's a complete report, which will be the last step of your project before we go to procurement. So we'll be sending that to Tony, and we'll be reviewing that with you, answer any questions that you have, make sure that everything is very clear, and then we'll need your approval on that report before we take the next step, which again is procurement of both the materials and then contracting of the electrical contractors to do the install.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Two points I would like to make. The first one is I did have our insurance agency do an analysis of the cost for us owning the light and the equipment, and it was less than $200 for all of them. And I triple checked that because I was astonished at it, and that was through NYMER. The other part of this that is very intriguing is there's probably going to be about a $7,000 saving just in the conversion of the parking lot lights at Town Hall, the highway, and the senior center, because all of those are going to be converted. So the cost for those would have been $7,000 higher had we just not even gone through O&R, because it would have been a little more of a process, and because it was on private property, we had to hire a private electrician, or public property, but not on a road. So I just wanted Paul to explain everything to everybody. Once we get through this process and we get the final report from them, we'll hopefully move forward with it. But I think it's in the best interest of the town. And also, Paul, which you never mentioned, and I'll keep this quick because I know we got a couple other items we got to deal. Can you talk real quick about the ability that we will have to control the candle power on the lights in the future?
Yes, so layering on smart controls will give you the ability to adjust the light intensity, either for single lights, groupings of lights, complete streets, neighborhoods. Having smart controls incorporated into the street lights gives you multiple benefits. On the maintenance side, today with the street lights that you have, the only way you know if a street light is failing is if somebody visibly sees it at night. With smart controls, these controls will send out signals to you and to us, indicating either whether a light is about to fail or whether a light has failed. So now we can be proactive in servicing and maintaining those lights, and we can also be more efficient in our truck rolls. Some of the other more creative uses of smart controls, the municipality, the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, where Harvard is, they have quite a vibrant nocturnal scene there, and so they use their smart controls to brighten the lights right about closing time for the bars to make it safer. And then once everybody's gone home, they gradually dim those lights from midnight to 5 a.m. Other uses, if you have first responders, so let's say there's an accident or an incident in a particular area, the fire department or police department can, on their smartphone, put up a geo wall, so surrounding that area of very high intensity light, so that the first responders have better visibility when they get to the scene of the accident or the incident. Lots of other uses. It's becoming standard now for most streetlight conversions to incorporate smart controls. The cost of that technology has gone down precipitously, so it adds very little to your project ROI, but gives you multiple benefits, as I explained. Lastly, these streetlights today may just be streetlights, but in the very, very near future, and we'll talk to you about this when we go over the IGA report and moving forward. These aren't decisions you need to make right now, but the street light has become a very strategic asset, which is another reason why you really want to exercise your option to take ownership. They will be the network for 5G and all the other smart city technology that's going to be coming to Monroe in the next couple of years. And by now owning that right of way and having that real estate on that streetlight pole, you will be a participant in lots of services and potentially revenue opportunities running over that streetlight in the future.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks,
You're
Paul.
welcome.
Questions?
No.
All right, good. All right, Paul, appreciate the report. We'll be in touch next, towards the end of this week, okay?
All right, stay safe, everybody.
All right, you
Go
too.
long.
You too, Paul.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay. Next item, as we enter old business, Councilman Cologne, any update on the charging stations?
Hey, Tony, before you go into that, I see Max is still on. Do we want Max to, Max, you don't have to hang out and stay here for the rest of this meeting. I know you're a busy man, so.
Have a good night.
I just noticed you're still on, so I'm sorry. Our apologies.
I just had a question for Max after the final agenda item, if he could stay on for that.
Ouch.
11 o'clock.
Wow.
That's fine. Good night, Max.
Have a good night, all.
Max, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Good night, Max.
Take it easy.
You.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I just I changed my screen.
Yeah, I
could
didn't see them. I just see the council people and.
Yeah, I changed it up, so it's actually, yeah, I changed it
All
up
right,
some.
good. All right, Councilman Cologne, any update?
All right, Mike, you had some questions. I had Caleb get hold of you. Did he get hold of you during the week?
I have not spoke to Caleb. He has not called my town phone or private phone or emailed me.
All right, because I wanted him to address your concerns directly that you had as far as cost analysis from what you had dealt with in, at your, where you are now.
Yeah.
So I wanted Caleb to get hold of you. He said, are you there?
I'm here.
He said he was going to get hold of you and find out what the difference is if, that you said that you had seen between what we were going to be paying as opposed to what was paid down in the city at the university where you work.
Okay. Yeah. Does everyone have the agenda screen up on their item, or am I the only
Got
one?
it. Yeah.
Yep, we all do.
Oh,
Take
okay.
it off. There you go. You can see
Yeah,
each other now.
I just thought it was me. So
I can get hold of him tomorrow morning and I'll have him get hold of you right away because I told him you weren't, you've been under the weather, so not to bug you until the end of the week. So
yeah, I haven't heard from him, Rick, but I would be interested to speak with him and just kind of ask him some things. And I think the other issue that we were looking to figure out is what our installation costs are, and that is really what it's going to be to run.
well, that was okay, to run it, you mean? Not
Yeah, well, to run to trench and run a line from our service through the parking lot to the
right, from the main hookup to the point itself. That I had run over to make ready all the information over to John Sharney. He was going to get back to me or to Caleb on that exactly. So we could best figure out if it's going to cost the town anything. In other words, would the make ready pick up the entire 20%? Would we have additional funds that would go past that?
Yeah.
So John was going to get back to us on an exact figure on that, or as close to as possible. So
like I said, with these things, the devil's in the details because it's just, I can tell you from what we've seen so far is, we're not, we're making under, $70 a month on all the chargers, and we have 8 of them with 2 ports. So you got 16 chargers going and or 16 charging stations, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
So it's you just want to make sure you're not laying out more for your installation cost and prepping the site and money that you
I understand that. I have no
money
problem.
that you'll never make back. So that's
I have no problem with that.
It's a good listen. It's great. It's definitely the wave of the future, and whatever we can do just to kind of get some hard numbers, that'd be great.
Well, we'll get some hard numbers for you on the next meeting. And I mean, this whole pandemic thing has thrown everything kind of upside down.
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
have some more precise numbers for you on that.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
Not a
Thanks,
problem.
Rick. Okay, council, any update on the peddling and solicitation, local law changes?
No, we're still reviewing some potential changes to that based on, restrictions, using dates and times. It is problematic, but we're trying to see if we can work something out, that'll minimize the intrusion on town residents while at the same time not dragging the town into any litigation over those restrictions. So we're still underway with that, but unfortunately, in light of the last month or so, that kind of had to take a back seat.
I didn't pressure you on it, only because I know that those laws are suspended currently because of the pandemic, so.
Yeah, and that's something we definitely, if there are people out there still peddling or soliciting, we want to know that. Please call please call town hall, call myself, email one of us, and let us know if you are still being, if there's solicitors going out. But because at this time, no one should be going door to door to solicit, sell, or peddle anything.
Isn't that illegal by the governor's decree? I mean,
Actually by the supervisors.
and also by the supervisor, but the governor
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
So they should not be going door to door.
Yes. So if someone is in the town or the village for that matter, then please let us know so we can take appropriate action.
Okay.
Especially real estate people. They seem to be, or certain real estate companies. We really
Okay.
like.
All right, thank you. All right, item 8, public comment.
All right, we have 6 attendees still hanging in there. So I will go through them and see if they have any comments. First up, Lorraine, this is general public comment if you have anything to say.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. And now on to Diane, general public comment.
No, thank you. And you can skip me going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ward Brower, private citizen, public comment in general.
In general, thanks for the effort under the extreme circumstances, and we'll just bear with it as best we can. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ward.
Stay
Thanks,
safe
Ward.
out there, Ward.
Yep, be safe.
Thanks, Ward.
I didn't technically ask Jeff Manson, if he wanted to skip public comments, so.
As long as he's not sanitizing the registers over at BJ's, we're good.
No, I'm actually off tonight.
No, look at him. He's sitting on his couch.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
This is the hardest working guy in Monroe.
The only comment I have is I want to thank all of you for your leadership in this time. The constant flow of information, knowing what's going on, everything you've done for us and the rest of the town. It's really felt. And I got to tell you, not only, is that from me, but I'm hearing that from people as I'm talking to them. I'm on the job, from coworkers, from my customers, nothing but good things out there for, what you're doing in this extreme time of need. And I wanted to thank you. And I know a lot of, of our town members feel that way. So I wanted you to hear.
Pleasure. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks for conveying
Jeff.
those thoughts. We appreciate it.
The supervisor will be sending you that check for those positive comments. All right, so we do have, I think we had Karen Gennaro, but I think she went off. So our last one is Spectrum News, who I believe is probably just listening, but giving them a chance to comment. And that'll be a no. So I think that is it. We got Lorraine, we got Diane, Ward. Yep, all back to you, supervisor.
Okay.
And Jeff, I'm demoting you back to the attendee list now.
So long, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you,
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
I don't believe there's any items that we need to go into executive session with. So if there's anybody else that feels differently, let me know.
I mean, we had the matter of litigation regarding, some issues that we discussed today. Do we want to just go into executive to update the board on that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I'll make a motion. We go into executive session to discuss litigation.
Okay, I'll second that.
So the only question for executive session is in this format, I'm not sure that.
Oh, we can go into a separate room?
Well, I don't know that we have the breakout room, but I got to see if I can possibly put the other attendees on hold. I don't know if I can.
Listen, if we can't, it can wait till the next meeting. It's not pressing, so it's certainly something that can wait if we can't go into the.
You mean the world won't end? Oh, God.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see an option, honestly, in this format to, other than to remove the members of the public from the meeting, but there's no option to
bring them back. Yeah.
Yeah, to bring them back or to go into executive.
No worries. So we can discuss it at the next the next meeting, figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I'll work on that and see if we can,
Yeah. It's not, I mean, because actually there's probably a couple other things will be going on between now and then anyway, and nothing pressing, just wanted to kind of update folks.
yeah, so unlike the meeting format, this one just doesn't have a breakout room. And like I say, I think the only option is to remove people, but then technically we should come back to public session. So I don't like to do that without the public there.
I kind of like the breakout room at the last one. I mean,
Yeah,
not
the
that I don't
breakout is
mind
good.
this.
The
because I know-
advantage to this is, because of the Zoom bombing that was going on, like,
Oh,
people
geez.
can't just show up and show up on video. It's only the people we choose. But the downside is apparently you can't go into an executive session. So
Yeah.
I'm sure, I had read something about 2 days ago that they were working out the kinks with the bombing.
yeah, they make some changes so that you had to have a password. But the problem is for us as municipalities, we have to put the password out there
Yeah.
to everybody anyway. So, it's hopefully what we need is in the regular meetings, the ability to not have, not let people turn on their video or audio unless we allow them to. And the meetings don't do that right now. So we're sort of in between. And I'm surprised this option doesn't have a breakout room, but it doesn't. So if it isn't critical, I would say we, or if it's strictly attorney-client, we could do that at any time without calling a meeting. If it's
Yeah.
litigation and me telling you, then we can do that without a notice.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yeah, the Zoom bombing, or streaking, or flashing that I've become aware of personally on the educational setting is something that we don't want happening during our meetings for sure.
Yeah, no, I think this format is great, except for that little caveat of the executive session. So
Yes.
I'll look into that and see if there's
Okay.
another way we can do that. Or possibly just put people on hold or something to avoid that problem.
Okay.
All right, good.
All right.
Okay, that said, thank you all for your help, guidance, and assistance going forward and in the past few weeks. It's appreciated. Anybody have anything to add?
Yeah, just real quick, I as everyone on the board knows, I did come down with the COVID-19. I'm fully recovered now, but I got a lot of well wishes from people in the community. I just wanted to extend my thanks to them for their thoughts and prayers. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, glad you're doing well, Mike, and glad I didn't go to that meeting where I would have been sitting.
I couldn't have sat any closer to you, too, Mike.
It sounds fine. Look at him. He looks great.
Yeah. That's that imported prosciutto that makes
yeah, listen, apparently.
I too survived a begin exposure, so it's all
True, you
good.
were right with me there too, Mr. Nugent.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah?
I only have one thing. I wasn't at the meeting.
Did you get to see Sal's hood at the beginning? That thing was great.
But we're all happy that you're.
No, I'm sure that was not from Monroe. That was from the Bronx where I contracted that. So.
You imported it up from the city.
I brought it up from the city. Thanks. Yes.
Also, Tony.
Yeah, go ahead.
You there? I'd like to give a shout out to you for all, you've been going through tirelessly all these meetings and everything else when we're all locked in. So I'm sure that all of the board members also like to thank you for all the extra effort that you and Jen had to put out in this crazy time.
No problem. No problem. My
Absolutely.
Supervisor, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure
We're getting our money's worth out of it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. You know me, Mike. I always want to give you your money's worth.
Absolutely. Listen, I get blood from a stone, as they say.
Listen, it's a pleasure, and it's nice to see our community coming together, in many different, aspects, from the meals to, I don't know if you've seen online lately, there's been about 5 or 6 birthdays where the police and the firemen have drove by the children's household.
That's nice.
I saw one today, the Lagakis family, which lives right down the road here. And it was great. Their daughter was 3, and it it was just wonderful to see the joy on her face.
Yeah, things like that makes our community what
I
it is.
guess Nugent left town hall for a while.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
A little breezy out here, but it's nice.
Wow.
That looks
You
good
tell your
right
hair's
now.
moving.
He's gonna have to
Wow.
be in quarantine for 2 weeks down in Florida.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
recommended I stay outdoors on the beach, so that's what I'm doing.
And just so everybody knows, Mayor Dwyer and I have spoken 2 to 3 times a day, every day for the last probably 7 to 10 days, working out some kinks with things. Mayor Welly, the same. I've worked closely with both Supervisor Geralman and Mayor LaFranco over in Blooming Grove there, and Supervisor Palermo and Mayor Egan over in Woodbury. I mean, it's been wonderful, and our county executive and that leadership there is second to no one, spot on with everything. I will say that, with some of the issues that have been going on with the social distancing, Dave Hoovler, our DA, has been on it. I was on a call with him 2 times yesterday. And it's, everybody is really doing a great job. And if you were able to see the detail that's given on these calls every day, it's mind-boggling. Unfortunately, today's death total in Orange County rose to 73.
Wow.
And there was over, I think it was 3,500 cases. But if you want all detailed, more information, Mayor Dwyer has each night does a Facebook post.
Yeah, nice.
He details everything.
Yeah, very, very nice. Yeah, he does a great
People have
job with
asked me
that.
to do that. People don't want to see my face on this screen. I get it. I don't want to duplicate what Mayor Dwyer is doing, because I found that over the last week, we've gotten so much information. It's too much information.
Yeah. No, it is.
So you're doing a great job, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure working with all of you.
Listen, you've been, I know you've been going hard with this, and listen, the thing that everyone's got to take away from this is that it's going to pass and we'll get through it. And before you know it, we'll all be back together again. And that's what we just have to look forward to.
Right.
Sounds good. That sounds good, Councilman.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Also a big shout out to Morangi. Their people have been picking up all of this garbage. You can imagine if all of their people got sick, what kind of that would be. And also to the firemen and the volunteer ambulance corps. They're just great.
Oh yeah.
It's just the whole community, like you said. It's just everybody comes together and everybody's trying to do their part. And we got one heck of a great town and a great county here. So
yes, we do.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be where I am. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
All right.
Councilwoman Bingham, you have anything?
Well, there's a lot of other people who have been on ventilators and they're coming off and they're getting ready to go home.
That's great news.
The very sick are getting better, and that's a very positive sign. Hopefully the worst.
Yes. And that's great. That's true. That's something that's overlooked a lot with the news, and it's good to hear that. People need to know that you're going to get over it, and
Yes.
Yeah, they don't cover the positive stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. There is a lot of positive going on out there.
It's funny you say that, because the county exec was asked today what the total is for those that have recovered. And Dr. Gelman, who's in charge of the Department of Health, her response was, it's very difficult to give that number because, and you know this, Mike, from the time you're diagnosed to 14 days after, you're quarantined. And you still might not feel totally well. So those numbers are hard to come by.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're basically using hospitalization numbers for the recovery numbers,
Yeah.
And hey, just to echo what Councilman Cologne said, a big shout out to MOVAC, because they have been running running ragged. I was talking to Alan Glass and some other folks there, and they really been running. So, our sincere appreciation to the volunteer EMTs from MOVAC and all that they do.
Yeah, yeah, and direct response who actually fogged our buildings and is going to be doing our courts this week, which is the final building. I had reached out to them because MOVAC reached out to me because they didn't have enough PPE. And the direct response was able to provide them with some PPE. And for those of you that don't know, Home Depot called Mary Ellen last week, and she directed them to me, and they dropped off 2 cases of Clorox wipes and a case of individual bottles of hand sanitizer, which we dispersed throughout the town.
Wow.
So, and there was no charge. They didn't charge. So,
Great.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
it's nice. People are stepping up left and right.
Fantastic.
Okay. With that said,
The motion to adjourn.
That would be it.
Brian, where's this guy?
that's not Nugent. Supervisor gets a little credit for that.
That's
Wow.
right. Keep on believing.
Right.
Great.
I'm just here in the space station, making sure everything is good.
Wow. You're
You talk about
we knew
quarantine.
that you were a celestial being, but here it is.
Yeah.
He's always looking down at us, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion again.
A second.
Seconded by
Sal.
Gangarello.
Cancarello. Okay. Call the question.
Bingham, I.
Cologne eye.
Pardon, aye.
Scancrello, aye.
McGinn,
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your
Good night.
support.
Good night.
Good night.
Monroe.
Good night, all.
Night, Monroe.
Stay
Good night.
home.
Stay
All right,
safe,
good
be
night.
healthy.
Stay safe. Wash
Yes.
your hands.
All right.
Wash your hands. That's good advice.
Hey, yeah, my mother's been telling me that for years. I'm finally learning. Bye-bye now.
That's it to
Take
you.
care.
Yeah.